Iverson, wow, what a fake off Daniels as he broke his ankles and got all the way to the cup.
What up?
No, Don. No, what up?
Yes, because what's up?
No.
What is going on, everybody?
Our special guest pulled out the W in the Final Four. Nah, I'm just kidding. What's up, Philly? No, not mad at all. Not mad at all. But what is up, Philly? Drunk on Broad, back for an edition of Drunk on Court. Don, myself, we're holding it down, and our boy T-Will from the Philly Full Court Press joins us to gloat about his awesome win in the Final Four. Moving on to the championship, make sure you get your votes in for the Philly Full Court Press. You can get over there on the Wildfire Podcasting Network's Twitter page. Pound that button. Let's bring home the W for our boy T-Will.
Yo, man, I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that, and there will be no gloating here. This is like a humble experience, humble moment. You know, appreciate all the votes that are coming in, and you know, hopefully we can pull an upset and you know see this thing through after tomorrow.
It's funny how this whole thing came about because, like, Don texted me about it. I didn't know. Well, you called me on Saturday, and we're talking like how just awesome it is to be like nominated and to be put in. What's up, Chris? To be put in the conversation with some of these heavy hitters. I mean, you had like the Liberty Ballers, you had the you beat Martinez and Harry Mays. Then you have, you know, you're going up against Let's Go to the Phones, who are part of Crossing Broad. So it's like we competed with some heavy hitters, and we beat them. Like, to me, it's impressive for our fan base, and it's impressive for us because of the content that we put out. Like you were saying, you're not a show my face kind of guy. Your podcast is one of the best because of the originality of it, of how you, like you even said, it's more or less like a radio show, but it's a podcast. And it gives you that great feel because it's that content that you want to listen to. It's the one that keeps you locked in. You have phenomenal guests all the time. And, you know, we as a smaller podcast are kind of doing the same thing. Our phenomenal guests are the friends of ours who are doing great work in the podcast industry. We're not pulling in the big dogs. I mean, we probably could, but that's not us because we're just regular guys who want to talk sports with regular people. So it's fun to you on and bringing Chip on and bringing all the guests and just when Nick's on and Oscar, like it's fun. And it's a very, like you said, it's a humbling opportunity to be part of this and to take out some big dogs because it means people truly care and people are listening. And you know, our sports knowledge or goofyisms, you know, it's hitting them and it's resonating. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, well, go ahead,
Dom. Go ahead, Dom.
I think the thing that people start to identify with is that originality, right? You're not getting a bunch of fluff. You're not getting a bunch of lists. You're not getting a bunch of like filler stuff. You're getting real content, right? You know, you're the one that, you know, kind of turned us on to that, you know, that real talk, real content, you know, and I think for me, I think that's the thing that I start to identify with. Like you now having been talk to people, do shows, interact with people, you start to see the people that are like are in it. They're in it to win it because they're in there, they're doing real content, and then they're done. They're not filling it with a bunch of fluff. So you know, and the ability to be able to, you know, interact, whether it's on social media, whether it's in a DM, whatever it is, you know, just gives you a stronger connection to that fan. You know, and even from someone who does a show, right? It's super cool when like you guys are doing a show and you're going through like the responses to the questions online and like
the Q&A we do at the end of the show.
And this, like just that acknowledge, like that interaction and acknowledgement, man, is just super cool. And super glad to have you guys have you on, and just be able to talk Sixers, man. This is just a ton of fun.
Man, I appreciate that so much, man, because you know it all started where you know I had a vision of I got tired of watching things on YouTube and seeing just the fakeness. And, you know, let's be real. A lot of it's for show. A lot of it's for the clicks, the retweets and stuff like that. And we're not talking about the voting. Okay. We're talking about the actual shows that are out here. And, you know, you catch a little bit of some things, and a couple people make good points on the show, but like overall, it's like, can you really sit here through that long of a show on YouTube and watch these guys just like pound the desk, have the irate moments and just, you know, screaming and hollering and cursing and just carrying on, and it's just like at some point it's just like, I don't want that. So then you turn on the radio and you hear the radio, and then you hear callers who act like the guys that you just saw on YouTube, and then you have the host of the show who has a dialogue and they have an agenda that they have to push out naturally. So after a while, that kind of gets watered down. So, you know, I just wanted to talk, and mind you, I started this during like the process. So, you know, the Sixers weren't good at all, at all. And we're still talking Sixers. And it was just like, you know, let's give some real content to some real hoop heads. And like, granted, I can talk football, I can talk baseball, I can talk basketball, I can talk soccer, hockey, you name it. I can talk it. But I wanted to focus on something that us in the city, in the tri-state area, weren't focusing on at that time, was the Sixers. So, you know, that's how Full Court Press came about. And, you know, I always said to Nat Marlowe, who I originated with, who, you know, used to work with one of our local radio stations, I said, whatever you do, don't be fake. And he was just like, well, what do you mean? I said, don't give me a persona like you have to come across and be like someone you heard or someone you saw. I said, if you don't know it, you don't know it. If you know what you're talking about, people are going to listen. If you don't know what you're talking about, they're going to sniff it out. I said, our agenda is always going to be real content. My first show, I had 5 listeners. 5. You know, and I was even stoked with that. So I was like, oh man, that's cool. I had 5 people actually wanted to listen to what I had to say. You know, now fast forward, you know, we do well, and you know, we're always appreciated. We have a great follow, and it's like kind of like Mr. Clark in Lean on Me. If I could get the turnout in the podcast voting as I do listening for the podcast, you know, we might have something. But you know, it is what it is. People are going to follow who they follow. They're going to like what they like, and you know, but you know, we always appreciate it. You know, let's get to follow. If everyone voted, should all follow all of us. They should follow Drunken Broad. They should follow Wildfire. They should follow, you know, Let's Go to the Phones. They should follow Full Court Press, because you're taking the time to vote for us. So you should follow us, because our pages are dedicated to what we're talking about weekly on our podcast.
I think Rich, we did a show, I think it was around this time last year, where it was just dedicated to like having people on who had their own shows. Yeah. And like, and we've said this in the past, like if you go and do your homework, spend an hour and go find a bunch of shit that you're interested in. If that's Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, if that's cooking, music, whatever, like if you go find people that are doing it and it's original, I guarantee you won't be disappointed.
I think it's great because I am who I am, and I stand by my shitty takes on this show and in real life, and my friends will tell you that. Like, I died on that.
Factual evidence.
That's facts. I died on that Bryce Hill that Bryce Hill last year when I said, oh, he's overpaid, and then
you sure did.
I eat crow for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, I say some shit like our group chat's going off about, I don't want any Ohio State wide receivers on the Eagles. I'm like, when's the last time there was a good wide receiver from Ohio State? My buddy's like, well, Michael Thompson, Terry McLaurin. I'm like, 2 in the last 15 years? Well, Olave and the other guys should be good. And I'm like, well, yeah, I just don't want them. And now watch them kill it. And then I'm going to be like, well, man, I really wish we had this guy. Because that's just what I do.
All because you said something. Yep.
All because I said something. It happens because I say things. And I'm not saying I'm a reverse jinx, but I'm a reverse jinx. So Eagles, go get one of those guys, and we'll have a wide receiver 1 for years. But anyway, Big T, Will, you're here. We want to talk Sixers with our boy. So let's bring it on.
Let's go.
So like, all right. So they go out west, right? They spend, you know, a couple days in LA. They take care of business in LA. They play okay in Phoenix, but kind of lose it on, you know, in that fourth quarter. and then you had the game last night in Milwaukee.
Right.
Talk
I'm
to me
still
where
trying
you're
to
at in
digest.
those last 4 games.
I'm still trying to digest last night's game. So, it was a tough one.
The
Someone
officiating
said
to start was terrible.
well, the officiating all week has been terrible, and I'm never the one to complain about the refs, and you guys listen to the show. I always say, play through it,
Right.
play through it, and that's the one thing that converts to their terrible transition defense is them bitching for fouls.
Oh,
So they go to the we'll use Harden for an example, and I'm not picking on Harden. Harden goes to the line, goes to the lane hard. He gets fouled. He gets murdered. Doesn't get the call. What's the first thing he does? He looks like he's the Statue of Liberty. He's posing. He's posing at the baseline. Well, where's your guy that was guarding you? He's already at the top of the key, damn near at the half court. So you're giving the other team the advantage on a breakaway. And what are the rest of the Sixers doing? Jogging back because they're all standing around looking for a call, which entails your transition defense. Your transition defense is a prodigy of you guys bitching for fouls. That's why the transition defense has been so damn bad this year, because they're just constantly looking for fouls and standing around. And and it's not like the coaches don't see this. You can, if you really listen to, on the court voices, you hear the coaches, get back. And it's just like, it's been falling on deaf ears this year. So,
well, you got that. You got their perimeter D has been terrible. The all bench lineups are just.
Yeah, that's Doc, man.
Fucking killing me, dude.
It is. It's annoying at this point, because you only have a handful of games left, and he's still doing the same shit all year. And people are starting to notice it now, but we talked about this, all year, and I get cottonmouth talking about it. Why does Doc Rivers, and no one can answer this for me. I even asked a couple beat writers. I've asked a couple people at the Sixers. I talked to a couple sources. Why does Doc Rivers start every fourth quarter with the bench lineup?
Because he's betting with the spread or against it every single time. That's the only thing that I can think. You're up 12. You put in that all bench lineup for 4+ minutes. And then you're down 2, and then you pull away with 4. So now you're only up 4. Come on, dude. You're up 12. You need to start stepping on teams' necks. You need to start keeping your starters out there. You need to build. It's Milwaukee. This is a team you're potentially going to see in the playoffs.
Well, it's not even just Milwaukee. It's not even just Milwaukee, Rich. It was Toronto. It's every game. It was Toronto game.
I meant last night.
Toronto, Miami.
Yeah, Dom.
Every game. That's just
every game. Every game.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
The thing that's frustrating for me is to see you're trying to ramp up for the playoffs, right? And we know in the playoffs that bench is going to shrink. You're going to go down to 7 or 8 guys.
We don't know that though, Don.
And
we're hopeful that it shrinks. We don't know that.
Yes, that happens. But I think that you have to figure out a scenario in which, I hate to say it, but at least Harden or Embiid is on the court all the time, because DeAndre Jordan is like a sieve. He I'm sure if I looked up the plus minus for him, it is probably.
Dom, quick question before you dive in on DeAndre Jordan. Did you listen to the last episode, right?
Yes, sir.
That's why you brought up DeAndre Jordan?
You know it.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling. Go ahead.
I want people to get out of their heads what DeAndre Jordan was and look at what he is. He's a guy right now who is literally a revolving door. And I can't for the life of me understand why. I mean, are you getting more or less? Would you get more or less production if it's Paul Millsap or if it's Paul Reed or if it's what like go with a smaller lineup? But you cannot put those. You cannot have a 5 on the court right now that doesn't include one of those two guys. Like, I'm sorry, but Tobias Harris has been playing better, and I'll give him his due. He has been playing better in the last couple games. But he is not a guy that you can leave on the court with Maxey and Milton and Paul Millsap, and like, you can't leave him. He can't carry your team.
Why does Doc do that though?
These leads.
Why do you think Doc leaves Tobias Harris with those guys you named?
I think he does it because he wants to see if he can be the person who takes over for that second unit. I'm like, this is me just trying to like think next level. When he puts those all bench lineups when they're up 12 or plus points in every single game and they blow it, is he looking to see how much fight that these guys have for playoff time? So he knows, okay, these guys really don't have it, so they can't play in extended minutes in the playoffs? Or is he looking for, say, a Shake or a Furkan or a Niang or a Millsap to be like, okay, this is a guy I can rely on. Look how hard he's playing. But you look at our bench, and our bench is absolutely atrocious. I mean, it might be one of the worst out of the top teams because we can't stop anybody. So is he looking for that spark plug? Is he saying to himself, oh, we are like detrimentally screwed come playoff time because we really have nobody who can play extended minutes if any of our guys get in foul trouble or something happens?
Like, I know he needs Toby to be a more productive player in the playoffs for them to be successful. I know that. Right.
I think Rich, you're right. When your thought process, I think that's what Doc is thinking. More or less, the reason Tobias Harris is on the court with that second unit, one, the bench is thin and it sucks. So you're looking to keep a starter on the court with them at all times, besides Maxey. Two, he is looking to get that guy going. You know, he runs the plays through that guy. I'm running the plays through Tobias Harris. I need you to get going. I need you to get downhill. I need you to be that guy on the second unit when you're out there. And it just hasn't come to fruition yet. You know, Tobias Harris is he's pulling, you know, wool over people's eyes with this, oh, he's playing good lately. Because if you look at it, all right, he had 22 and 11, 36 minutes last night, right? Good game. Very good game. That's what you expect from Tobias Harris every night.
Yeah.
Every night, what you get paid is what you expect from Tobias Harris every night. He had to match Chris Middleton last night, and he did. But that's what you need from him. And you don't get that consistently, where the Bucks get it with Chris Middleton consistently. Okay, you can't show up in Phoenix with 17 points in almost 40 minutes. Not against that firepower that they have. You got to be 22 points, 11 rebounds. You can't come to LA and play 25 minutes and only have 13 points.
Yeah.
No.
You can't. That was a perfect game for the Clippers, that Clippers game. And granted, he didn't play the second half much, but it's a theme with him. It's up and down, up and down. Good Lakers game, bad Heat game, okay Raptors game. You know, the Dallas Mavericks game where the Sixers pulled it out in the end. 14 points in 24 minutes. And they had to fight to win that game. Where were you at?
I want to use this point as another talking point and maybe a little transition into the next thing, because Don wanted to talk about it, and I think it's pivotal for all three of us to talk about. Does this secure, with the way that Tobias Harris has been falling short and the way that James Harden he's coming on, but you know, we just got him. Let's not say he's been on this team the whole year, because he hasn't. Does this kind of secure the spot for Joel Embiid to beat out Jokic for the MVP?
Here's the thing, and I agree with this narrative that I hear. The national media doesn't like the 76ers, period.
Well, yes, we know this.
Period. Joel Embiid is having another dominant year. He clearly is the MVP, but you got jokers and clowns out here on their little talk shows and podcasts that are being pushed by the national media. They're spitting out Jokic numbers. They're spitting out Devin Booker numbers. And Devin Booker would probably be the only one I would consider even voting for the MVP over Embiid. because if you look at Devin Booker's numbers and you compare to the great Kobe Bryant's numbers when he won MVP, they're similar. They're like almost identical. And not only that, Devin Booker's team is the best team in the NBA. Yeah. Devin Booker has carried his team without Chris Paul the last 15 some games. So the Devin Booker argument is well worth the argument over Jokic. Hell, Denver, I don't even know where they're at in their standing.
I mean,
I don't even,
listen, the last time I checked, and I'm gonna check right now.
I can tell you, I have it up. They're 6th. They're 45 and 31. They're 5-5 in their last 10. And that doesn't tell me that you deserve the MVP. Hell, at least Embiid's team is fighting for the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Granted, they were number 1 for 24 hours, but you know, they're still a game and a half out of being the overall top seed in the Eastern Conference. Okay, Embiid has just putting up dominant numbers, and he's still getting slack from these fucking clowns out here that don't give a shit about anything Philadelphia does. They hate Philadelphia. They've always hated Philadelphia. They're still holding it against us, against the process, and it's a travesty. It's a travesty that Embiid is playing with how he's playing. He's been playing better with Harden, but he was dominant before Harden.
Yep. Not for nothing, but he's not playing. He's not missing the back. He's not taking the back-to-backs on rest. He is the best player on the court whenever he's on the court
at all times.
Like, and how you look at a team that is fighting for the top seed in the East and a team in Denver that currently is 16 and a half games behind the Suns. Like, how do you look at those two things? And, you know, not for nothing, but like, shout out to Drew Hanlon for some of the Joel Embiid stuff that he was putting out. The fact that, like, all right, so some of his statistics that he put out yesterday, the Nuggets with Jokic on the court are plus 2.5. Without them, they're plus 5, almost 6. Embiid with the Sixers plus 7. Embiid without, it's plus 1, and it's plus a half. Like,
half.
You're talking about,
it's a half.
It's a half of a point. Like, how do you look at their production and say that he did most of that statistical stuff with no support at all? But
it's a joke, Dom. Yeah. Dom, it's an absolute joke. You got who the hell cares about Mike Greenberg? First of all, and he's out here.
That was terrible.
He's given the worst takes possible, and I'm not a take guy. I don't even listen to him. I had someone send it to me. I was like, why do you listen to this garbage? Why?
Well,
you got you got Stephen A. Smith. He does it for the station.
Yeah.
But like, it's annoying. It's aggravating, and just use your eyes. It's all you gotta do. Embiid he might win the scoring title if he doesn't sit these next 5 games. I mean, if he doesn't feel like props to Embiid though for calling out Doc for saying, "How about my minutes matching Giannis's minutes?" Number one.
Right.
So, to go back on that topic about Doc, the players are starting to notice it too. So, Embiid's the MVP in my book. Okay, if he doesn't win the MVP, listen. If he doesn't win the MVP, I might flip shit. I might lose my shit.
I was pissed off when they were mentioning John Morant in the MVP conversation, and then you looked at the statistics of the team without John Morant. They were like 15-2 when he wasn't playing. It's like, how can you have the most valuable player on your team, but have a winning record when they're not on it, when they're not playing?
The John Morant thing is kind of like the AI thing.
Yeah.
Because, when AI was here with the Sixers and he didn't play, the Sixers were awful. Yeah. When AI played, you had a puncher's chance. When AI was on his A game, you saw what happened in 2001. So that's where the Morant conversation comes in out.
At the time when they said that, they put out a statistic that his team, it's the Grizzlies, right? He's on Memphis. Mm-hmm. They were 15-2 without him at the time. Like they were plus. It's not like they were losing games when he wasn't on the court. So you kind of look at it like, well, if this guy's the most valuable player in the league, but his team continues to win with him not on the court, how does that make sense? You take Joe away from the Sixers. The Sixers aren't nearly, and I'm saying by a million, as good as with him on the court. Like, he is the most valuable player in the league. He's doing Wilt Chamberlain-esque things in today's NBA. He's one of the most athletic big men who can do everything and anything against you. How that look for Jokic, it makes no sense. It's the same thing from last year. Jokic, great player. MVP? No, he's not the MVP.
I'd give the MVP, like I said, I'd give the MVP to Giannis over Jokic.
Yeah,
Giannis is putting up numbers. His numbers mirror the same numbers he had when he won the MVP. So Giannis has continued to step up his game, and it's funny. Akinapuko, I can say his last name. Kate and Ala got called out on Twitter for not saying Giannis's last name at all last night. I didn't notice it, but I did like the comment that someone put out there. But
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yes,
it's Greek.
Yeah, well, listen, he's been in the league long enough. We better know how to pronounce it. Like, come on.
If you haven't figured it out at this point, like, I don't know what to do. But listen, like the thing that I heard that was most alarming to me, that kind of separated the two of them, right? When you look at those meaningful games that Denver's playing, where in the play, like towards the end of the year last year, and then when you're looking at Jokic, who is getting they're subbing the offense for defense, when they're taking him off the court in those meaningful minutes, and he's not playing both ends of the court, because on some defensive possessions, he's a liability. And Embiid never leaves. Like, Embiid is playing 40 minutes every night in those meaningful games. I mean, that tells me kind of all I need to know. And then to look at his production on the court,
you're right. What do you want me to say?
No, you're right. I think that frustrating piece of it fitting into that narrative of like, fuck it, we can't have nice things. Like,
right. It's just it comes down to the disrespect. That's all it is. The 76ers are being disrespected by the national media. They should take it personally. I don't know if they are, but if I was them, I would take it personally and I'd go out and win the whole fucking thing. Right. Seriously. I would challenge as bad as my bench is. I would challenge them. I would challenge Harden. I appreciate Doc telling us that, he had to talk with Harden and saying, I need you to be aggressive and enough trying to feel your way in and getting the team involved. We need to see the Harden we've been seeing, the last couple of games. We need to see that the rest of the year, the handful of games, and going into the playoffs. Embiid's going to get his no matter what. We know that. But we need the aggressive Harden. I don't need the Brooklyn Harden. I need the Houston Harden. And these clowns out there saying Harden's not in shape. Yeah, I think he's in shape. Yeah, I was up close on Harden. He's in shape. Okay, he's in shape. He looks good. He's ready to go.
You can miss me with all that dumb shit. Like
yeah, it's ridiculous. All these takes out here are just mind-boggling. And listen, everyone out there listening to us and watching, don't overreact to the takes, because that's what they want you to do. You know what I'm saying? Ignore the takes as much as you can. Don't respond to them, because eventually they'll just be talking to themselves. It's just,
we hope
it's not necessary. So Embiid's the MVP. We know it. And if they don't give it to Embiid should take it fucking personally and be like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm going out and I'm carrying my goddamn team to the NBA finals, and I'm going to bust everybody's ass, and I'm going to win the most valuable player in the playoffs. Period. And then you know what you do? You shove it up everyone's ass.
Yeah. I told Rich a couple weeks ago, like, I have this vision, and I don't know if I've seen it in a dream or something, but I have this vision of Joe riding on the front of a school bus, like double fisting champagne bottles, just like like Kelsey style, just like riding down Broad Street. Like I want that so bad to be able to shove it up everybody's ass and be able to say, you know what, we did this. It worked.
Screw you. Yeah, screw you.
Right.
We did it.
Now, to piggyback off something you said, do you think like when do you think we've got a handful of games left, right? You're looking at Detroit, Charlotte, Cleveland, Indiana, Toronto, Indiana, and Detroit. At what point do you think you see that next gear from Harden?
We're seeing it. We're seeing it. We saw starting in the Lakers game. So he's in that next gear, and you're not gonna see much more because of the teams that are ahead of you right now that you're about to start playing. So you got the Pistons, you got the Hornets. Hornets are fighting. They're a scrappy team. Okay, so you might see, and I said this on our show, coming down the stretch, we might not see Embiid and Harden play together the rest of the year. It might be you sit one, I sit one. We both sit this game. You sit one, I sit one. But if it comes down to the MVP, Embiid's going to say, I don't want to sit. I want to play.
Yeah.
Because that's what held him back. That was the crutch they used last season. He had COVID and the injury, and he missed 18 games, 19 games, and he had a couple games that were load management, and that was the big thing. Oh, well, Embiid missed too many games. If he didn't miss so many games, we probably would have gave him. We had one vote. One.
Yeah.
One. Let's remind everyone, he had one first place vote, but that was the narrative they spun.
Yep.
Embiid hasn't missed many. I don't think he's missed double-digit games this year. I think he's still under 10 games. Dom, if you want to look that up, I'm going off the top of my head here, but I don't think he's missed over 10 games. So are you going to use that again this year on him? He's averaging almost 30 points a game.
Yeah.
He leads the league in first quarter points with 11.4 points a game. He leads the league in points from the foul line. He leads the league in points per minute on the court. He plays defense. He blocks shots. He guards the point guard. As much as I don't like him doing it, but he gets at the top of the key. He tries to guards the guards and the wings, but he's out there playing.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's going to get screwed. I just got to feel he's going to get screwed. I hope he doesn't, because I got to bet that he wins it. So I mean, and people who have him early. There was a guy I heard a couple months ago. They got Embiid like 45-1.
Damn.
Oh, Jesus.
How's this guy going to get screwed like this coming down the stretch?
Yeah.
And it's interesting how it was Embiid, and then all of a sudden it fell off.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just wanted to say, all right, enough Embiid talk. Let's talk about Jokic. Because he had a 10, 13, and 11 triple-double.
That's what happens when you go on ESPN and scream. That's pretty much.
Listen, Rich, he had a 2-5 triple-double, and they're going bananas for it.
Oh, I know. Acting like Joel Embiid ain't shit. Like, it makes me laugh. But, hey, that's the national narrative, and you know what they want to push. They'd rather show stupid-ass clips of, like, nothing on their Instagram and their Twitter instead of sports. They'd rather comment on the Kardashians. But let's just, worry about Jokic being the MVP over Joel. That's bullshit.
We digress.
Yeah. Eye test, baby. Eye test.
T-Will, final thoughts on your way out.
Oh, and what?
Anything. Final thoughts, baby.
Anything sports related, anything
life related.
Life Sixers.
Listen, first of all, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I like to Dom, you always reach out, and sometimes it was just like it's always in the beginning it seemed like it was like a bad moment. Like every time you reached out.
No worries at all, brother. I totally get it. I totally understand. Don't ever feel bad about it, man.
Yeah, man. And I would like to congratulate you guys for making it to the Final Four.
Thank you.
Because, like Rich said, him and I were talking. I knew nothing about this, nothing at all.
Neither did I. Not until they tweeted it out.
You right, basically. And I was like, Rich, you see this? He was like, yeah. What's this? I was like, I don't know.
I didn't realize we were in the second round. All of a sudden, Don's like, "Yo, we made the second round." I'm like, "Of what?" He goes,
What?
"Well, this one." I'm like, "Who do we beat?" And I looked at the people we beat. I'm like, "Holy shit, they were a 2 seed." I'm like, "How did we win?" Like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah. So congratulations, you guys. I hope you guys get a lot of exposure from it, and people follow you and start paying attention to you guys. I always loved your show. And, I try to support as much as I can.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the 76ers coming down the stretch, the few things you want to look at, as much as the bench has been our headache and our use of Tylenol, we're going to need them. Just point blank, we're going to need them. So you're going to see heavy minutes of our bench play. You're going to see more minutes of Shake Milton. You're going to see Korkmaz get back on the court here and there. And you're going to see Doc play with rotation. Dom said something earlier about how's the rotation going to set up. I feel like that it's going to be George Niang's going to be your 6th man. You're going to get heavy minutes on Embiid and Harden. Knock on wood that they stay healthy. You're going to get 40-plus minutes a night from them. You're going to get 40-plus minutes a night from Maxey. And God willing, if Tobias Harris can just find himself after this halftime and come out like he does the first quarter, you're going to see 40-plus minutes from Harris.
Yeah.
Here's the difference with Matisse Thybulle. Matisse Thybulle, you need those 10 points. The Sixers are a better team when he's scoring at least 10 points a game and he's more active. I made a comparison to him and PJ Tucker because PJ Tucker scored like 3.83 points a game when he was with Milwaukee, when Milwaukee went to the championship. And it was a good argument that was brought up by Connor Thomas on the radio show. That was his argument. I don't take that. That was his. I'm going to counter that though, as like the more and more I keep thinking about it. You're not looking for points from PJ Tucker, right? Because Milwaukee has firepower. Milwaukee had guys that can consistently get you buckets. So that one person who is your defensive stopper, who's giving you 3.8 points a game, is not necessary. You need Matisse's 10 points a game. You cannot have him scoring 4 points a game and having, to play defense and giving up 30 against the guy he's guarding.
Great.
He has to give you something. It's a difference. It's a different level of scoring based on the team where Milwaukee has more firepower than the Philadelphia 76ers. And it's just a fact. You're not going to get much out of Danny Green. You're not going to get much out of our bench. Our points are going to come from Maxey, Harden, and Embiid. Don't worry about DeAndre Jordan. He's only going to give you 8-minute runs, okay? If you look at last season when we had Dwight Howard only played 8 minutes a game. Embiid pretty much played every minute possible. So let's hope that happens again. Doc Rivers never plays a young player. He doesn't play the Masseys and the Paul Reeds and Charles Bassies. Should he? Yes. But guess what, Dom? You're going to get the same result. The only way you're going to help DeAndre Jordan when he's on the court, you're going to need Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris. When they're on the court with DeAndre Jordan or Paul Millsap, you have to crash the boards.
Yeah.
Period. You got to crash the boards. You're leaving DeAndre Jordan in no man's land because he doesn't know the plays. He's still trying to fill his way out, and he's not the same player. He's a shell of himself. So you have to have more support, focus more on defensive side, keeping the teams to one shot, and done.
Yep.
Keep them to one shot, slow the game up. Don't look to press and push because that's how you're going to steal rest minutes for Harden and Embiid. So hopefully Doc goes by that, but we'll see.
I just came across something that Drew Hanlon put out that speaks exactly to what you're talking about. Embiid last night sat for exactly 5 minutes of that game between the end of the third and the beginning of the fourth. In that time, Giannis scored 15 points. That right there tells you everything you need to know about how valuable it is to have Embiid on the floor.
Agreed.
Yep.
It's very
That's what we
valuable.
got.
My final thoughts.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you to you, Will, for coming on the
Yeah,
show.
thank
As
you.
always, make sure you vote for the Philly Full Court Press on the Wildfire Podcasting Finals of their March Madness Philly podcasts. Like I said, it's a great show. Give them a listen. Give them a follow. Follow the tea leaves. You'll learn something. You won't ever leave that podcast saying, "Oh, that was."
Dumb.
It's not us, guys. It's not us.
Yeah,
You're
no,
not
it's-
going to leave unfulfilled. You'll leave fulfilled. You'll get some laughs. You'll hear some great personalities, and you'll get a lot of insight on your favorite 76ers. So please follow, get in on the action with Philly Full Court Press and at Big T Will on Twitter. It's fantastic always having you on. Don, you are the man. We did it. We were the Cinderella team. We made it to the Final Four, dude. We were the 32. We beat the 2. We knocked off some heads. I'm proud of us. I'm proud of everything that we're building together. Don, I give you most of the credit because you do all the videos, all the behind-the-scenes stuff, grabbing the sponsors. You really made this brand take off. Appreciate the shit out of you, Don. T will appreciate you for the love and always coming on and what you guys are doing. And that's what I got, baby. Just an appreciative man. That's what I do. I appreciate it.
Listen, Richard, and to speak to something that we've kind of touched base on a bunch of times, right? We've always talked about mental health and how mental health is important. And there was something that I came across this week that really just kind of spoke to exactly what we've talked about. There's a dude that used to play for the Dodgers, Andrew Tolles. And he was arrested after he was found sleeping behind an airport in Florida, going through some rough times, right? He was a starter for them in 2018. This past Thursday, the Dodgers renewed his contract so that he would have access to health insurance.
That's awesome.
And
shitty at the same time, because that just tells you our current state of how we feel about people with mental health, but that's another story for another day.
Right, but I'm going to put out the positive vibes.
I like the positive, Don. I like the positive.
Listen, the fact that they're able to do that and be, just kind of a lot of the time that stuff doesn't get highlighted, man. So
no, that's a beautiful
really
thing.
Good shout out to the Dodgers for being able to help that guy out. And listen, I think with that we're going to wrap it up. Rich, we got you can see our sponsor scrolling across the bottom. We got a new sponsor, Shocked Energy, who's they're providing an alternative to some of your normal energy drink, a little bit of a better, healthier option.
I want my damn sample. Shocked.
Yeah, Shocked. We listen, Shocked. We sent you an email.
Get that shit and send me samples, or we're taking it down.
Team Clicks, which is your sports theme sunglasses, La Terrain luxury watches. You can see all the places where you can find us on the podcast. Tiki Live. We're Tiki Live tomorrow at noon, Saturday at noon. You'll catch this replay then.
It's just fun to say. It's just fun to say.
It is just fun.
Tiki Live.
Tiki Live. With that, gentlemen, we're gonna bounce out and Philly, have a good week. Go
Good night,
Sixers.
Philly.
Later.
Hey.